Welcome back to Bet On. If you wondered why we didn't talk about this game during the primetime segment, it's because Marco thinks this game is so big it needs its own segment. Okay, you're right. It does need its own segment. This week's big game breakdown, LSU plus 6.5 at Alabama. This total is sky high, Marco.
When have we ever seen an LSU-Alabama game with a total of 65? I mean, do you remember all those games where it was like 14-10,
13-3, 6-3.
Yeah. It is. Times are changing, but you look at this one here, and times are going to have to change if LSU is going to win this game because history is not on LSU's side. 7 straight wins by Alabama. Ed Orgeron's not been there for all of that, but you've got to say there's still a huge coaching advantage, Saban over Orgeron. I love Orgeron, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have the big game experience that Saban has. Let's be honest about that. Offensively, the one thing that's different this year is we talked about, and that's why we're seeing a total, we do have 2 good quarterbacks. Normally, we only have 1 good quarterback in an LSU-Alabama matchup, and that's Alabama. Joe Burrow is playing lights out.
Stud.
And I'll tell you what, right now, if you're thinking about getting a ticket on him for the Heisman, I would do it now because if he wins this game,
you're almost already too late to the party, but if you wait till after this game, you're done.
It's over. It's definitely, he's going to take center stage for that if he hasn't already. I'm looking at this one. Offensively, both teams are in the top 5. Defensively, both teams are about the same. You've got Bama ranked 14th, LSU's ranked 18th. I will say LSU's played the tougher schedule so far. Alabama hasn't. I think they've only played one team that was in the top 30 so far. But again, you can only play who's put in front of you, and we know you give Saban an extra week to prepare what he's going to do. I have a light lean to Alabama laying the points, but that's not where I'm going. I think you're going to see points in this game, nothing like we've seen before, and just the fact that Vegas agrees to put a total out on a game like this at 65, they're telling you we're going to get scores. I've got the game that it's going to be 42-34 Alabama. That gives me a lean to Alabama, but it definitely puts me on the over.
So, VR, I got the screen open. Marco's saying 65. It opened 66. There's 63.5s popping up, and even a 63 looks like at South Point. Who's steaming this
Sharks are going under. They're betting it under because of a high total with these 2 teams.
Mathematically.
And historically, anytime you get 2 really good offenses, believe it or not, wise guys tend to bet the under. And when you get 2 really good defenses, wise guys tend to bet the over. And the reason for that's simple. More times than not, the line's shaded towards the biases, and you couple it with good defense means some short fields, some turnovers, usually leads to points. So I'm not surprised to see the number come down. I haven't bet it, the total myself. Listen, usually I'd be all over Alabama. You have a hurt quarterback. You have a team giving more points than it appears they should.
So from the gold sheet, they've won 32 consecutive.
Yeah, 31 by more than 7 points.
Yeah.
So you're betting against a team that's just demolished everyone at home.
It's like the New England Patriots.
Right. That's why I'm not on Alabama this time, because all those reasons are why they're a 6.5-point favorite. And they shouldn't be. Power rating-wise, absolutely not. Before the season, obviously, Alabama was a 16-point favorite in this game if you wanted to bet it in September. But they've gotten a lot closer as this year's gone by. And if you haven't adjusted your power ratings as significantly as I have, you may have it a little different. But I think this is a field goal game. You give Alabama their home field advantage, obviously. So the number's pretty close to where it should be. But at 7, I think you got to look to LSU. I like that side. This is the year where they have an offense, not just defense. They could put up points, too.
So there's not a ton of 7s.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're all gone.
They're gone. They are gone.
And they're not coming back, are they?
No. I'd be so surprised.
So at 6.5, something to look at there, something to consider. All right, thank you, guys. That was great stuff. I cannot wait to watch this game. I don't think I'm going to have a bet on it, but I'm really excited because we're going to bring in our resident stat guy, Ralph Michaels, with this week's TNA. Hopefully he has a couple tidbits for us on this LSU and Alabama game. That's right. It's time for TNA. Ralph, people love this stuff that you dig up every single week. Your Twitter timeline is filled with it. You need to get a better hobby.
Yeah.
No, I always try to invite Ralph out for Sunday Fun Day, and he's too busy digging up TNA for you guys for the show. Okay, you know, we've had one that's been really successful the last couple of weeks. That team off a 7th loss, so why don't we start there?
It is, and you know, I don't like repeating them often, but this one really will help you handicap for years and years. And I think you need to understand the importance of it. Every team, basically, when they go into the season, has a goal to get to a bowl. You look at your schedule and you think, yeah, there's a shot we can get to 6 wins. So when you hit your 7th loss, you know, your goals are shot. You no longer can go to a bowl. That's when a coach is likely to get fired. That's when you go start playing young players. So to me, I always look at when teams are off a loss and it's their 7th loss. It's particularly bad when they're a home dog of 8 or more in that role.
Okay.
So that's simple. You're off a loss, it's your 7th loss, you're a home dog of 8 or more, you've cashed 30% of those tickets. Or fading them, you've won 70%, going 28-12 against the spread. Last week, they went 2-0. The 2 7th loss angles together went 3-1. The fade teams for this week, Tulsa against UCF, UTEP against Charlotte, and New Mexico against Air Force.
Wow, those are some really ugly teams that I have no problem fading.
Well, again, that's what's going to happen early November. Late November, we'll find better teams in that role. But when you get to late October or early November and your teams are on your 7th loss, that means they're 0-7 or they're 1-7 or perhaps 2-7. The later we get on in November, the more this occurs, and it'll be better teams in that role. Now, this one's one of my favorites because it's in a situation where you were an away favorite of 11 or more and you lost the game, and now you're an away dog of 11 or more. So you played a crappy team last week where you were an away favorite laying over 10 points. Now you're getting 11 points or more. The team in that situation is Missouri.
Ooh,
so
at Georgia.
Teams off a loss by 11 or more points as an away favorite. Missouri got upset against Kentucky. Now they're an away dog of 11 or more. 8, 22-1 against the spread, 26.7%, or a 73.3% fade on this week, Missouri plus the points.
Wow. All right. What else you got dug up for us over there?
Teams off a shutout loss. Early in the year, it doesn't make that much of a difference because you have non-conference teams playing superior teams. But week 6 on, that basically means you're in a conference game. So if you are off a shutout loss and now you're a home dog of 3.5 or more, since 2012, you have gone 6-24 against the spread, 20%. That is an 80% play against California against Washington State. 3rd string quarterback off a shutout, Washington State hungry. I like the side as it is. This makes it a little bit stronger.
We got enough time for a couple more. Ralph, what you got for us?
Let's do it. Washington. How disappointing is it to have a 3rd quarter lead and then lose the game?
Oregon.
How about if you had a lead going into the 4th quarter in back-to-back games? They led 31-28 against Oregon going into the 4th. They led 21-19 against Utah going into the 4th. They lost both. Those teams, the next week, the next game, 6-19 against the spread. Fade Washington against Oregon State on Thursday.
Wow.
And how
the
about...
Beavs have been really good in the underdog role, too.
I've been on them twice.
I
played the money line against Cal in their upset. I played the money line in their last game against Arizona.
I had them, too.
One more. If you have wins of 6 or more and you're off your first loss, bubble burst.
Okay.
App State lost. Oklahoma lost. SMU lost. 7-19 against the spread their next game, 26.9%. Doesn't mean Oklahoma's not going to beat Iowa State, but App State, Oklahoma, SMU all had their dreams burst. Now you fade them, 7-19 off your first loss if you have at least 6 wins or more.
All right, great stuff. As always, Ralph, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, it's time to walk the barking dogs. That's right, guys. Barking Dogs is up next.